Many poultry producers mistakenly assume that raising quail is identical to managing a flock of laying hens, just on a much smaller scale. This common assumption leads to the failure of many agricultural projects in their first few months. Chickens are highly resilient birds, shaped by centuries of careful selection to tolerate minor fluctuations in daily management without significant losses. Conversely, the Japanese quail has an accelerated physiology that doesn't forgive technical errors. Its fast metabolism demands precision in every phase of development. Thinking you can use the exact same feed rations, lighting protocols, or spatial dimensions is the first step toward a drastic drop in egg production and a massive increase in flock mortality. Today we will meticulously analyze through detailed visualization the critical failures that separate success from ruin in this specific sector. We will carefully break down crude protein requirements, extreme sensitivity to environmental stress, and the precise light management this highly profitable species demands. Prepare to permanently adjust your entire operational approach and succeed today by making the crucial adjustments that we will discuss right now. Let's begin. Number 1. The metabolic engine, crude protein deficit. Nutritional errors top the list of failures when feeding Japanese quail with commercial rations formulated for standard laying hens. A standard laying hen typically requires feed with a crude protein level between 16% and 18%. This specific percentage is perfectly sufficient to maintain her standard cycle of laying one single egg daily. However, the Japanese quail has an explosive growth rate and a vastly superior metabolic demand that simply cannot be ignored by any serious farmer. To maximize daily performance, this species requires over 24% crude protein during the starter phase and remaining close to 22% throughout their entire production stage. Supplying a generic diet quickly causes a severe nutritional deficit that interrupts the laying cycle almost immediately. The birds will rapidly consume their body reserves to compensate for the significant lack of nutrients, resulting in fast weight loss and the continuous production of eggs with very weak shells. Modifying the base ration is never a secondary option. It is an absolute fundamental requirement to sustain the intense biological rhythm of a remarkable species that reaches full sexual maturity in just 6 short weeks of life. Number 2. The biological clock, poor light management. The second critical factor is the daily light management inside your production facilities. Standard chickens raised outdoors can adapt their laying cycle to seasonal variations with relative ease, slightly decreasing their production during the cold winter without suffering serious consequences to their overall health. In stark contrast, Japanese quail depend entirely on a strict photoperiod to keep their reproductive functions active and profitable. They biologically require a strict minimum of 14 continuous hours of light to stimulate the pituitary gland and guarantee constant ovulation. If you rely solely on natural sunlight during the short winter days, flock production can halt in just a matter of days. Implementing an artificial lighting system strictly regulated by automated timers is not a luxury, but a mandatory technical obligation in these advanced operations. A warm LED bulb, placed 6 feet above the enclosures, provides the lumens needed to simulate spring conditions. Any interruption in this artificial light supply sparks an immediate biological impact that requires several long weeks of stabilization to return to normal inside the barn. Number 3. The territorial barrier, inappropriate housing density. This specific metric represents another dangerous point, where previous farming experience proves incredibly deceptive for many incoming breeders. A standard hen might require about 10 square feet of space in open systems to exhibit her natural behavior without showing territorial aggression. When observing the incredibly compact size of an adult quail, the initial instinct often suggests confining hundreds of beautiful specimens into exceptionally tiny enclosures. This overpopulation rapidly generates a high level of environmental stress. Unlike traditional backyard poultry, quail strongly retain very marked wild instincts and possess a reactive nervous system when faced with a lack of vital space. When housing density exceeds 3 birds per square foot, their cortisol levels skyrocket. This stress triggers destructive behaviors like feather pecking, cannibalism, and severe plumage damage. Furthermore, the excess of ammonia rising from their accumulated droppings in such a reduced area causes respiratory diseases in a matter of days. To avoid this sanitary collapse, the ideal density must remain around 3 birds per square foot in well-ventilated systems, ensuring a stable environment for your growing flock. Number 4. The design trap, inadequate feeders and waterers. Moving beyond the general spatial requirements, the feeding infrastructure represents another constant operational failure. Using the exact same heavy equipment initially designed for large chickens poses a significant physical risk to your delicate quail, especially during their first few vulnerable weeks of life. Standard bellwetherers feature drinking channels that are simply too deep for them. A tiny quail chick, which barely weighs a fraction of an ounce at hatching, can drown in just a tiny fraction of an inch of water if the equipment design is incorrect. On the other hand, wide trough feeders allow these active birds to enter completely, scratching and wasting up to 30% of your expensive feed right onto the floor. This species has a strong natural tendency to scratch their food, imitating the search for wild seeds in their natural environment. It is absolutely imperative to utilize specialized nipple waterers, precisely adapted to their short height. Alternatively, use shallow dishwaterers with specific protectors. This is essential to prevent accidental drownings. Feeders must feature protective anti-scratch grids or narrow openings that safely allow only their heads inside. Number 5. The thermal threat. Uncontrolled cold drafts. Another fundamental aspect where the physiology of these small birds differs enormously from standard hens is in their overall body heat retention. A mature laying hen possesses substantial muscle mass and incredibly dense plumage that acts as an amazingly effective thermal insulator, withstanding temperatures near 32 degrees Fahrenheit without any major biological setbacks. Japanese quail, with their minimal body mass and an exceptionally fast metabolism that constantly dissipates valuable energy, are highly vulnerable to sudden drops in temperature. A single cold draft can cause hypothermia overnight. The ideal thermal comfort zone for adult quail sits between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Drops below 59 degrees Fahrenheit signal the birds to halt ovulation and redirect their caloric intake toward basic thermoregulation. This essentially means that all the expensive feed consumed is burned merely to generate basic survival heat, leaving your vital egg production levels at zero. Rigorous thermal insulation and meticulously calibrated heating systems remain deeply vital. They are essential for long-term economic success and for maintaining high yields within the strict boundaries of your enclosed barn. Number 6. The reproductive chaos. Incorrect male-to-female ratio. Finally, the actual social structure of the active breeding flock marks a very clear boundary between both unique types of poultry production. In a traditional chicken coop, a single dominant foundation rooster can manage a large group of 10 to 12 females while effortlessly maintaining acceptable fertility rates and a relatively peaceful hierarchical order. If you attempt to apply this exact same proportion inside a closed quail system, total reproductive failure is practically guaranteed. The males of this particular species present an aggressive and remarkably constant mating instinct. If a seasoned producer houses an insufficient number of females per male, the daily physical wear on the breeders will be severe, rapidly causing the complete loss of dorsal plumage and cutaneous lesions that can lead to bacterial infections. To establish a balanced and productive genetic program, the strict biological rule dictates a ratio of exactly 1 male for every 3 or 4 females as an absolute maximum limit. This ratio distributes mating pressure evenly, protecting the physical health of the flock while ensuring high hatch rates inside your expensive incubators for future generations. Number 7. The skeletal collapse. Calcium supplement management. An operational error occurs when a seasoned producer assumes that the daily calcium requirements of a laying hen directly apply to the Japanese quail. While a standard chicken deposits essential minerals to form a dense eggshell over a full 24 hours, this small bird pushes out a half-ounce egg representing up to 10% of its total body weight in just 20 hours. This continuous biological feat requires a steady and accessible supply of minerals passing through its digestive tract to sustain the intense metabolic effort. If the total calcium level drops below 3% in the formulated feed, the bird will instinctively extract vital minerals directly from its own bone structure to maintain its fast production rhythm. This degenerative process advances rapidly, causing acute osteoporosis and spontaneous fractures in their legs or wings at the slightest movement within the breeding enclosure. Therefore, it must be administered as fine calcium carbonate powder, since coarse oyster shell particles are not efficient for the quail's digestive tract. Providing this fine powder on free demand guarantees the physical health of every specimen in your flock, ensuring consistent premium-grade eggs daily without fail, and avoiding physical decline entirely. Number 8. The lethal reflex. Panic reactions to sudden stimuli. The genetic memory of domestic chickens has conditioned them over centuries to tolerate loud noises, distant predators, or sudden movements made by the farmer without suffering significant consequences. However, the nervous system of the Japanese quail remains wired like that of a wild prey bird, constantly on high alert to secure its basic survival. Faced with an unexpected sound, like a dog barking or a slamming door, these nervous birds trigger an instinctive vertical flight reflex, launching themselves straight up to escape. If the housing design features solid wooden ceilings, rigid wire mesh, or metal plates positioned at a low height, The result is a wave of broken necks and head trauma in mere seconds. This behavioral pattern forces the producer to rethink the construction of their facilities from the inside out to prioritize animal safety at all times. You must implement a suspended internal ceiling made of soft materials, like flexible nylon netting, acting as a safe shock absorber during these inevitable episodes of collective panic. Establishing daily management protocols based on slow movements and quiet routines is strictly essential. You need this to maintain a highly stable environment for optimum performance throughout the entire laying cycle. Number 9. The invisible threat: rapid accumulation of toxic gases. Managing daily droppings is a critical operational aspect that requires more precision than what you apply in a traditional outdoor chicken coop. Japanese quail possess a fast metabolism that drives them to consume a large amount of commercial feed strictly in proportion to their tiny body size. As a result of this constant appetite, they generate a significant quantity of daily excrement containing incredibly high levels of active nitrogen. When a producer utilizes closed floor systems or deep litter methods without implementing a rigorous mechanical ventilation strategy, environmental humidity accumulates rapidly, and that nitrogen transforms into volatile ammonia. This toxic gas attacks the sensitive mucous membranes of the bird's respiratory tracts and eyes, sparking a chronic inflammation that weakens their immune system entirely. Unlike a resilient laying hen that might easily withstand moderate levels of stale air, the Japanese quail quickly develops secondary pulmonary infections that can severely impact a flock in under a week. To avoid this sanitary issue, your facility design must incorporate permanent cross-flow ventilation and strict daily cleaning protocols to ensure the internal air remains clean, breathable, and completely safe for continuous production throughout the year. Number 10. The deceptive profitability: overestimated useful lifespans. Applying a standard chicken's productive calendar to the fast-paced life cycle of a Japanese quail is a quick path to financial loss for any agricultural project. A healthy hen with strong commercial genetics can maintain profitable laying levels for a year and a half, or occasionally stretching beyond 2 full years. Conversely, the intense reproductive biology of this bird dictates a different and incredibly short production curve. Quail hit their peak performance around their 8th week of life, maintaining an output that frequently exceeds 90% throughout the following 8 to 10 months of daily posture. However, once they surpass 1 year of age, the physical exhaustion sparked by their fast metabolism triggers a rapid and irreversible drop in their overall laying rate. Retaining aging breeding stock beyond this critical biological point means wasting formulated feed on depleted specimens, ones that will never again be financially viable for your operation. A strategic producer carefully designs and successfully executes a constant flock replacement strategy to secure sustained profits. This ensures that only young and highly active birds occupy the valuable space inside the production modules at all times. This meticulous planning actively protects your overall investment and maximizes the specific financial efficiency of your farm. Number 11. The sanitary challenge: biosecurity and parasite control. In traditional free-range chicken setups, birds manage the health of their plumage and prevent the proliferation of external parasites through the instinctive creation of deep craters in the dry soil to take dirt baths. However, when shifting management toward an intensive closed system, the seasoned producer frequently ignores this vital biological necessity. Keeping these small birds confined inside wire cages without providing regular access to dusting substrates causes a fast accumulation of natural grease within their feathers. This physical condition creates the perfect ecological environment for the rapid multiplication of harmful mites and blood-sucking lice. These external parasites not only cause chronic stress and constant skin irritation, they also firmly drain a biologically significant volume of blood daily. This persistent attack induces a severe anemic condition. It lowers overall flock fertility, drastically reduces reproductive potential, and decreases the productive metrics of your homesteading project. Providing shallow trays filled with fine sand and wood ash once a week reliably allows the flock to perform their natural grooming behaviors. This safely keeps parasite loads under control and perfectly maintains excellent feather quality across the entire commercial facility year-round. This simple intervention drastically improves the well-being of the breeding birds permanently. Number 12. The collection failure: egg collection frequency. Accustomed to checking the nests of a conventional chicken coop once at sunset, many incoming breeders blindly repeat this routine inside their quail modules. Standard chickens actively seek out dark, quiet corners to deposit their clutch, keeping the premium-grade eggs safe and concealed until collection. Unlike the resilient hen, the Japanese quail has practically lost the nesting instinct, dropping their fragile eggs wherever they are, whether directly on the wire floor, in the feeding zone, or alongside the waterers. If the producer allows these eggs to remain scattered throughout the cage for long hours during the day, the birds, driven by environmental boredom or innate curiosity, will rapidly begin pecking at the shells. Once they discover the nutritional content housed inside a cracked shell, a destructive vice of egg eating instantly develops. This detrimental learned behavior spreads rapidly through visual imitation, significantly reducing the financial profitability of your farm. To protect your daily harvest, you must implement slanted rollaway cage floors that immediately remove the egg from the bird's reach, or establish a schedule of collecting eggs at least 3 times a day. Proactive management in this area eliminates the temptation entirely and preserves your hard-earned profits without further operational complications. The transition from raising laying hens toward the intensive management of the Japanese quail demands a complete operational transformation. We have analyzed how every biological detail counts to sustain the economic profitability of your commercial flock. Underestimating the demand for accessible fine calcium carbonate, ignoring environmental stress factors, or utilizing deficient egg collection protocols are technical errors that cause a productive decline. The accelerated physiology of these extraordinary birds does not allow any acceptable margin for technical improvisation. Only by providing perfectly adapted facilities, combined with absolute nutritional precision, will you successfully unlock the genetic potential securely housed inside this profitable species. Mastering these critical fundamentals will allow you to scale your poultry production safely, ensuring a constant flow of high-quality, premium-grade eggs. Let me know down in the comments which of these options makes the most sense for your setup. If you got some value out of this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up so we can keep bringing you practical homesteading advice. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.